Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. Today, we have a really scarring thing occurring. Well, not really scarring for you guys, but for me, because I have to relive my Duff moment. And this is the guy that duffed me. You duffed me, period.
I didn't do it.
He tries to deny, and then he threatens to beat me up like the one girl in the movie, but it's a fact.
Well, don't mess me. It wasn't me. It was the other one. I wasn't the tougher.
So since I have a bridge to burn, I'm just kidding. There's no bridge, but I don't care. Hats are off. I don't even know what I'm saying. The glasses are off. The expressions are not coming to my mind, but we're using his name because this is a burn book moment. I'm ready. My thing is glitchy. Okay, it came back.
Like,
That was kind of scary.
ugly. Okay, you're back. You're back. You're rage.
Okay. Okay. My internet sucks, and this is probably Brian interfering with this.
Oh my god.
But
Stop
anyways,
it.
let's tell the story. Let's go. You're telling it because you did it to me. You're the perpetrator.
Anyways, you're misdirecting, but that's okay. It wasn't my fault, but I guess let's talk about it, right? So, hi everyone. I'm Eric, and I've been on this channel before, but let me just say hi again to everybody. But yes, let's get into it. Of my alleged duffing of the Duff, right over there. There, it's on my side. But yeah. So back in the good old days when I used to be young, um, I would always do too much. I still do too much, but let's get into it. So I would always be like going out and doing too much and just really socializing. And that would be in any form, whether it was like in person, like at a bar or at a random party, or even online, whether it be social media like, Instagram, Facebook, because I'm that old, or even apps. Whatever it may be, any form, I was open to it. And yeah, so on the apps, like obviously the most of the apps I used were like dating slash um and let's be real, for the majority of the reason it was just like, to hook up. But I was open to friends too because I didn't really have any gay friends like at all. Like I think I literally just had Alex actually. So I was like, oh my
I'm gonna start doing Samira faces while you talk. It's fine.
okay, do your thing. Add to the effect. Duff. Um, but anyways, so yeah, like I wanted, like a gay squad, and I just wanted to like be in a group.
Oh my God. Squad was such the trend back then, too. I don't know if you guys remember, but this was 2016. It was dark days. Pokemon Go.
Oof, child. Someone tried getting me that too, and I was like, no. Close my phone, and then I can't use my apps to hook up, so it's out. But I already play Pokemon Go in a different way. But anyway.
Oh my God.
So yeah, point is like I would use the apps and I would try to find friends because I wanted a squad and I just was really all about collecting people like Pokemon, I guess, and I loved going out. So I on one of the apps called Good Old there was this nice young man named Brian who had reached out to me and messaged me, and he was just talking to me and he's like, hey, like what's up, like cool profile, I'm Brian. And I was like, cool, like thanks, I'm Eric, la, 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 la. And then he's like, what are you looking for, what are you on here for? And I was like, oh, honestly, like I just say dates to see what the vibe is, but I'm open whether it's like fun, just friends, more or nothing. And he was like, oh, okay, cool. He's like, yeah, like that's like what I'm on here for too. And then I was like, okay, cool. And then
Of
he's like,
course he said that. Sorry.
ooh,
Sorry.
calm down, calm down. We're not even to like the worst part yet. This is just like putting our seatbelt on for the
I'm
ride.
sorry.
Like, hold on, simmer down. Um, but yeah, and then he was just like, okay, cool, like me too. Like we should meet up. Like let's get lunch or dinner or something. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, let's do it. Because back in that era too, I was like double booking myself, like meeting people all the time, just doing way too much. I don't even know how. Like I'm oh right now, like not a vegetable in bed, but um yeah, so we met up and we it was lunch, I believe, that we had, and it was actually a good time. It was really nice. It was interesting, and I was like, "Oh, cool! Like this guy seems like fun. Like seems like a cool friend. Like I'd love to like probably hang out with him. You know, just do
So
friend."
we need to break this down a little. So when you go into a date, what do you think about and what usually makes you sort somebody into friend zone or F zone?
Ooh, which F zone, huh? Friender. Okay. Well, alrighty. So usually, like for the most part, like if I'm being shallow, I can immediately tell off like if I want to like sleep with them or not. And
Okay.
wasn't that way. Like I was just like, "Ooh, I don't want to sleep with you." So I had kind of already like decided I wanted to be his friend because he wasn't attracted to me, honestly. And
Mhm.
like I did say I'm open to a friend or whatever, you know. So I was like, whatever, I'll still hang out with him. And yeah, for the most part, there are some people that I'm like, oh, and they're average, or I don't know, I'm confused because some people take bad pics, you know. And I'm just like,
Sorry.
and I'm like, maybe it's a bad picture, and that's okay. Like I'll still I'll meet up with them and like, you know, sometimes it has happened where it's a like a bad picture and I'm like, oh, they look actually so much better in person. Like I'm, you know, exhilarated. But then what
Sorry.
happens where like they do look like the photo and I'm like, oh, I'm like, it's not a bad photo. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Let's just have a lovely dinner. I'll entertain, I'll do my thing, I'll chat it up with you, and like then we'll just call it a night, you know? Maybe just a kiss, because I'm sorry, but
Did
that's
you did not.
with who?
Brian.
No, not him.
Oh,
No,
okay. I was like,
not
okay, that was tea that was pulled out from the grave.
goodness. No, 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 no. No. These are just older gentlemen that would pay for the dinner and they'd be like, "Oh, okay,
Oh,
dinner." Like, but no,
okay, Lana.
right. um, but no, that's usually how I go about it. It's like at first, obviously, the shallow part, and then later meeting them because even if they're attractive, if it's not, if there's
Mm.
nothing there, it's like, okay, I don't want to sleep with you or be your friend. Like this is just like a bust, a bust, and not the good way. So Um, but that's how I sorted out. So with Mr. Brian, I was just like, oh, okay, he's not really my type. Like, he's not attractive like that, but he seems cool. He seems nice. I was like, that's awesome. So, like, let me just meet up with him. Like, who knows, right? Like, anything can happen. So, that's
Ellie Goulding.
right. So, that's why I was like, okay, yeah, like, let's do this, man. So, yeah, that's when we went to lunch and we met, and like I said, I did see him in person. Since you want to be like that and go there, I saw him in person and I was just like, oh yeah, like this guy's definitely going to be a friend. As it's just there was no chemistry or vibes like that where it's like, oh, I just want to jump into bed with you, or like, oh, I wonder what like being with you in that way would be like, or even kissing you. It doesn't even have to go all the way. Like I didn't want to kiss him or anything. I was just like, oh, you know, like you're a cool guy, like whatever. And yeah, then we got through our lunch. We talked about things. We seemed to have similar interests for the most part, like being active, music, and just being,
I forgot about that. The
yeah,
music thing.
yeah. So there was just things genuinely like of common ground, you know? It wasn't like, you know, he was just lying about everything. There was some things common ground. So, little foreshadowing, but, but yeah, some things are cool. And I think we hit it off. I would say we hit it off because that's where the
Is
duff.
that I have to ask, did you frisbee at that moment or was that a different day?
That was a different day.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so since we want to go there, no, I'm just kidding. So we had our lunch. It was cool. all we did was lunch that day because we just wanted to meet because he was under the same, or not under the same impression, but he thought the same. Where he's like, "Yeah, let's just meet to see if there's anything. Because if there isn't, like, it's a waste of time." And I was like, "Well, yeah." So, we met. There was something on my end. It was friendship, and I was like, "Cool. Like this guy seems. Let's set something up again in the future." And we did. And that's when we went to where he went to school, and we hung out in his dorm room.
You
So
went in his dorm room?
yeah, I did. Why do you sound so shocked? Like, what?
Okay.
Yeah, I went
I'm
to.
surprised. First of all, I'm surprised he even had one, but I guess he did have money like that. Second of all, he went to my school.
Oh my god, he invaded your turf, your territory. But
My school was a commuter school, period. So he's weird for that.
well, he had a dorm room there, and like we hung out there, and basically what we did that hangout was he did like audio stuff, like music stuff, or just like DJ kind of thing.
Mhm.
So he was like, "Oh, like I can like play with like your voice or like edit like music or whatever." He's like, "Sing something." So I like sang something, and then he totally like edited it, and it was like he made it sound like robotic, or he made it sound like a chipmunk, and I was like, "Oh, that's so cool!" Like he just could do things with it, like warp it or make it sound good, make it sound,
Mm.
you know. Um, and I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And then later after that, he's like, "Oh, do you want to go like toss a frisbee?" And I was like, I was like, "What?" I was like, "Toss a frisbee?" I was like, "Huh?" I was like, "What?" And then he's just like, "Yeah, like you want to go throw a frisbee around outside?" And yeah, like actually, yeah, I do. Felt like a dog or something, but I was like, "Yeah, let's go." Like, let's go. So we went outside. Typical like scene in a college movie. We're just throwing the frisbee on the lawn, and just like playing whatever. And we're just talking about stuff. And we did that for a while, and then we went back to his dorm room, and we just talked about like future activities and plans of what to do. And I was just like, "Oh, like I forget what necessarily we were talking about," but then like pride somehow came up.
Sorry. Sorry, I can't hold my reactions back.
I know.
Wait,
Oh
so this all went down the first day? Or
no.
was it okay. That was the second time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then you did tell me because I have to interject my POV. So
Okay.
basically, after their first date, Eric called me Obvi, and Eric was like, "Oh my gosh, I met this guy named Brian, blah 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 blah." And we threw frisbees and da 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 because Eric was like fiending for a squad.
I
And
was.
I was like, we had freshly become best friends because we met in 2015 and this was like spring 2016. And
Yeah.
so I was really trying to like be game. I was recently on my, extrovert shit. Like I was starting to get out more, from around the year 2014 is when I started. So I was still pretty early. So I was still pretty introverted at the time, or very, very shy still, but less. And so I was like, okay, but we had already struck out at least one time in 2016 because the guys kept wanting to be with Eric.
That's right.
And I told him at the time, I was like, I don't really see this happening because I feel like they're just going to want to sleep with you. And he was like, no, blah, blah, blah. Like, we can make it happen, like, and I was like, okay, And so when this happened, I was like, okay, that sounds fine. And he was really, really like, I feel like you were really hopeful that it was just a friendship. And I, of course, was going in with like a slight, I was silent because back then I used to try to be nice. I don't anymore, but back then I tried. So I was like, okay, and I was relatively positive, but I knew that I would be meeting him. Okay. And now we can continue.
Now you speak now, but
Speak now era for Eric.
oh gosh. Well, yeah, and I think in the beginning, I genuinely did think it was just a friendship
You
because
did.
at least from what like I saw, or unless he was being really smooth, he just was being super friendly, like a friend, like Like, cool. And yeah, like I said, the second date in his eyes or hangout in my eyes, I don't even know, was, doing music stuff and tossing a frisbee. I was just like, this is fun. And yeah, and then that's like what I said when we started talking about Pride. I forget how it came up. I think he said he's never been to it, or like something in the Long Beach one.
Don't they do it weirdly early?
Long Beach?
Yeah.
I think they did. I think they did it like in
It
May.
had to have been.
I think it was May. I think now they switched it, but like back in the day, I think it was May. I think.
Maybe, or did it maybe it went on longer than I'm thinking. It must have went on. Okay. No, because sorry. Ooh, we're totally scrambled. Okay, I probably was early. I think it was because I'm having memory flashbacks. Okay.
Vision.
Okay. So Pride. 'Cause I remember you got me this like bag that was really scarring, and it was like I forgot what it said, but I think it was like queer AF or something. Literally,
It's something
you
really gay.
yeah, it was something like really ridiculous, and I like threw it up in the closet. Ironically, it was in my closet,
Terrible.
and like this bracelet. That was my first year being quote unquote out, even though it was definitely a glass closet. But I guess I didn't want to go. I'm not surprised I didn't want to go. But
I mean, it was weird. Because it was my first one too, because I have never been. And
mhm.
so, like, it matched up even more for me and Brian, where he's just like, I've never been. And I was like, well, neither have I. And he's like, well, do you want to go together? And I was like, well, yeah, like, of course. Uh,
You know what? I just remembered. It's because I went to something in 2015 and it was really lame to me. And it put such like a taste in my mouth of it being so gay and lame that I was like, I'm not going to anything like that ever again. So that's why I didn't want to go. I just
well,
remembered.
bag was payback because you got me that shirt from your school. Remember the blah 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 supports like equal rights or something.
Yes. Because that's right.
And
Of
I was like,
course it does.
well, why would you get me this? Like, thank you. Like, I think I wore it twice, and I was like, that's enough. Like, it was really extra that I even wore it, but I did. I wore it
I,
twice. So,
I'm proud of you. I'm so proud.
I'm an ally, but oh, but it was a done deal. We set it up, man. Like, we totally were going to Pride, and then since I thought we were friends, I was like, "Ooh, are you dressing slutty?" And it was just like he was yeah, totally am. And I was like, because I am. Like, it's my excuse to be like Halloween 2.0. Like, I'm definitely gonna dress slutty. Like, come on. And he was oh, like, what are you gonna like wear? And maybe I should have taken that and like, ooh, what are you wearing? I didn't. I just took it as a, like, what are you wearing? And I was like, oh, I'm gonna go like kind of like a cowboy. Like, I'm gonna wear my brown like boots that I have already. I'm actually gonna do a cowboy hat, like a button-up shirt, and then just like underwear, I guess.
No pants,
Yeah,
period.
you remember?
Yes, I do. I remember that all too well.
I know that's right. But so that's my outfit, and I was like, cool. Like this is whatever. Um, this is my fit. And then I was like, what are you wearing? And he's like, oh, I don't know yet, but something slutty too. And then we flash forward not too long because, like, again, he was in the spring and that's when the Pride was around. So it's like
Mhm.
too long after we go to Pride and I see him and I was like, you're not dressed slutty. Like,
What was he dressed like?
he had like fitted jean shorts that went to his knee and he had like a white tank top, I believe. And
Whoa.
yeah, and then he had like Vans or something and like a bandana. And I was like, this is, I mean, like the tank top was like a little mesh, not all the way, just a little bit, like on the sides or something. And I was just like, this is your slutty? I was like, dude, I'm like, underwear and a button up. I'm a step away from like everything hanging out, taking it off, Like, what? Um, I was like, oh man. I was like, whatever. I wasn't like bothered, obviously. I was just like, oh, like you said, it's not giving. But I was like, whatever, we're here. Doesn't matter. I'm excited, and I genuinely was excited. I was like, ooh, it's my first Pride. Like, ooh, let's see what it's about. And it's, I guess in hindsight, it should have been what I thought it was, just a bunch of like half naked dudes, myself included, and just kind of touching you and grabbing you, like, ooh, I like your outfit or whatever. And I was like, smile,
Sorry.
whatever. And like, obviously, I was walking around everywhere with Brian, and like we were just exploring everything. And my goodness, I signed myself up for so much like stupid emails and like whatever, because I wanted like free stuff and free prizes or whatever. I still get emails to this day from like Human Rights Campaign or something about like,
Do you really?
yeah,
Oh my gosh. What is it about?
it's about like stopping the evil of Trump and like
Oh my gosh.
and like I need to act now,
Dang,
And
in 2024, they're still emailing you?
well, to be fair, I never unsubscribed because I hate
Okay.
email. Like I don't read it, I did it for the. I don't even remember what it was, but
Was it for the bracelet that
I
you
don't.
gave me?
I don't even know. Maybe, but I signed up for 10 things, and I was like, like so.
Oh my gosh.
Full on sold myself. But yeah, exploring everything, and then like I like cute, sexy underwear, and I was like, ooh, like I saw like a stand. There was a lot of stands, but one in particular stood out to me, and I was like, ooh, like let's go there, let's go there. And he's like, oh yeah, totally. And we went, and then really flamboyant like Latino, not me, another one. So, a really flamboyant Latino helping us, and he was just like, "Oh, like you guys, what can I help you like look for? Like, what you need?" And I was just like, "Oh, I'm just looking for like some sexy underwear, and like I'm just, it's fun. Like I like it, and I was like, I don't know about him. I was like, but I'm looking for just something, and I did buy something, by the way, but like I'm looking for something fun." And he's like, "Oh, okay, like you want like a jock strap?" Or he was showing me all these kinds of underwear, like one where there's a hoodie for your front part that like just comes off, and then like, jock strap.
He was really you were into that at the time because we used to go to this like sex shop and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so edgy because I'm like religious and whatnot. And I was going to that and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I was trying out the lubes and stuff.
Shout out
But what is it? What is it called?
to Secret Desires.
Oh yeah. I used to call it Secret Desirees. Oh, LA. Oh, Cali.
Right. But yeah, so like he's helping me out, and he's like, "Oh, I think you look good in this and look good in that." And like obviously he's like, "Well, let me see." All I have to do is lift my shirt a little bit or just turn around because I'm in my underwear already. And he's like, "Oh, okay, I think these and blah 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 blah." And I was like, "Okay, done. Thank you." I think I bought three. Um and then, with Brian, he was trying to like obviously just talk to him too to like get a sale, and also like he was so up my butt because like I was like up his butt, like I want this, I want that. And he was talking to Brian, and he's just like, "Oh, what about you?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't know. Like, I'm just like, with him, just like kind of looking, blah, blah, blah." And he's like, "Well, let me see what you're working with." Oh, and and I felt so bad for him because I was like, okay, that's funny how shady people can be, and that probably speaks a lot about me. But like the fact that he
Wait,
like,
what did he say? I'm sorry, I missed it.
oh no, I didn't say what he said yet. I was just saying it's like
Oh,
how shady people can be, or the gays, whatever, even though we're all about love and unity. Um,
right, of course.
but like I'm no better because I was like dying inside because I mean Brian had a tank top on, and all he like turned Brian around, and he was like, oh, he was like, maybe he's big in the front. And I was like, oh. I was like, oh my God. I was like, dang. I was like, that's brutal. Like, at least say, like, oh, we can find something for you. Or I don't know, like, be cute, be real cute. Um, um, but he just like looked at his butt. And he was just like, oh, no, basically, like, no, like, he's
Yeah. So for some context there, Brian was very, very skinny, and he was tall. He's like kind of like our height, probably 6 foot, something like that, like 6 feet. And I think I was still, like, just a hair taller than him, just tiny, tiny bit taller.
Yeah,
But
he
yeah.
so for sure. Um, but yeah, that was why the guy was just like, "Oh yeah, like like he's like," and then I was just like, "Oh," and then inside I was like, but you know, I, I was like, "Oh," and then like Ryan was obviously like, like he didn't like say anything. Like, oh, okay, like, and then I was like, "Oh my god," and then we just went throughout the rest of the day with Pride, and I kind of had a blast just because it was my first time. I didn't have a blast in the sense where it was like I need to come back every year. I was just like, this is a fun first experience. That's where I got like a tarot reading from like a woman, and that's basically the reading that told me like, oh, I see success in your future, but I don't see happiness. And I was like, oh, period. So that was fun. That was also cute. But
Mhm.
a good day for me, and I was just like, this was fun. Like I enjoyed it. And then obviously I think he had fun. I don't know. I assumed he had fun. But shout out to him because he took the pictures of me in the slutty cowboy outfit or whatever. Yeah, he had a great time. I couldn't really tell. I think honestly it was kind of a but because I had fun, but whatever. But
I
then we
just I remember you telling me that, like, he didn't wanna dance or whatever, and
oh
that kinda dried you out.
oh my god, totally, yeah, I forgot about that. Thank you. Gosh. This is why we need each
I
other.
always remember the negative details, don't worry, I got you.
Thank you. This is why we need each other. Oh my god, my anyways, thank you. Um No, you're right. You're right. I remember because there was music and there was dancing, and he was the one who made dancing a bigger deal, by the way, not me. He made it a bigger deal now that I remember. And I was just like, sure, I'll dance, like whatever. Like I don't really care, but that's not really what I like. It's not a priority for me or an issue. And then we get to the dance floor, and I'm obviously dancing, and like I'm being a mess and like busting it open because I'm in my. I have like open movement.
Oh my god.
And then I started dancing with this girl. I think you do remember. I forget if like didn't you somehow see that or something? Like didn't like Brian send you a snap or something? Or did he not meet you at this point? He didn't know you yet.
I don't know if he did. I don't know. I think you just told me about it.
Okay, cuz yeah, like I
'Cause
remember
you
like
were like, this is Alex's version. So Eric called me and he's like, "Oh my gosh, blah blah blah. It was fun, but also like it was kind of not it because only straight people wanted to dance." That's literally like what you told me. You're like, it was just a bunch of straight bitches wanting to dance, and nobody else wanted to. And Brian didn't dance. He just like stood there, and he like
it
wanted me to dance so bad, or he wanted to dance so bad.
did, and that part is true because yeah, he told me to dance and he's or go to the dance floor. And then we're there and I remember dancing with this blonde girl and I was just like, okay, whatever. Like we're here to like we're just having fun. I was dancing with a lot of girls and I was just like, oh, okay, like cool. But like, I don't know. I don't mind if someone doesn't want to do something, but don't suggest it and then don't do
Mhm.
it. I mean, so it's just like because I was okay with leaving or doing something else. It's just like let's keep going or whatever. So it's like, but then you give me the idea or make it want to happen, and then you don't do it. It's like, why are you doing that? But then again, I'm like,
Right.
no, I dance like that. But who knows now? At this point, he's a mastermind. But played me like a book or read me like a book. But anyways, so yeah, no, we definitely that part was weird. You're right, and that's why I was a little like, did he have fun? I wonder, but I kind of did, but not enough to like I'd want to go back. But yeah, um, I remember we just talked a little bit after, and then like obviously we were like more into making plans because again, like I hadn't really like had a bad time with him. Like even though he didn't want to dance, it wasn't like I'm done with him or
Mhm.
gross. I was just like, no, like let's keep hanging out, dude. Like this is cool. And honestly, as it kept going and progressed, I was excited because I was like, oh, I'm really making like a gay friend. Like I'm really, like cool. This is happening. And I was like, wow. I was like, look, Lexi, I did it. I'm doing
Mhm.
it. And
Even though you were also scarred because everybody assumed you guys were dating at Pride. That was another thing that you told me.
I was scarred by that. And I was because I'm just like, ooh, no. Because
Mhm.
yes, it makes sense. Like if it's two guys, only two guys together throughout the whole thing and like, whatever. Um, I guess it makes sense. I was just being extra, but the fact that I just was not into Brian, and I was so dead set on the like, I just want gay friends, and people were like, "Oh my god, are you two together? Like, is this your boyfriend?" I think that's what kind of bothered me a little more because I was like, "Oh my god, like no, don't do that, don't do that. Like we're just, we're just friends. Don't do that. Um, push this the other way." So
Love that.
same, but yeah. So that was that day, and it was a great time. And then yeah, like I said, we talked about hanging out more and whatnot. And then, oh gosh, like help me with the timeline. I don't remember if I think what happened next is like the movie premiere, right? Is that what happened?
I think I honestly think we met him, or I met him at that restaurant first.
Oh, are you talking about when we went to like Pollo Inca? Oh, because I
Yeah.
wanted him, right?
You wanted me to meet him, yeah, and I was like, "Okay," like, you know, and I was still really shy, and I was just like, "Oh gosh," like, I was so not looking forward to it, but I was like, "Okay, like, we'll do this, like, I'm gonna get a grip, like, I'm game, period, I'm gonna do this." And so we went to this, like, I guess it was like an Indian restaurant, right?
I think it was like a Pollo Inca, something like that. Like,
Mhm.
mm.
And we sat and stuff. I don't remember it at all. I feel like it was not that eventful, but I did meet him, and I kinda saw his demeanor. I saw what he looked like and everything. I probably had seen him prior, but I knew he was not Eric's type at all, like, not even a little bit. Like, Eric doesn't like scrawny guys, for one. Eric doesn't like Eric likes just I don't know, like, he was very, just the way that he moved and stuff, it was very, like, gentle, and then he was very, like, soft-spoken and quiet, and, I think it was just, like, the energy he had, it was just, like, too soft, and then just the look wasn't it, so I knew, like, Eric was not into him. I don't remember if I knew right away that Brian was into Eric, but I I think I kinda did a little bit, because he probably, like there was probably at least a couple times in that dinner where he kissed your ass, where I could see it a little bit, at least a touch, but it
Mhm.
wasn't as bad as the next one. So,
Oh,
it was really short too, so that's the one thing, it was super short.
it really was. I think we just literally met up for dinner, right? And
Mhm.
yeah, because I remember we met up for dinner. I don't remember anything super like eventful or impactful like throughout the
It was
dinner.
boring. It was probably boring, that's probably why neither of us remember it,
Yeah, because I
'cause
don't remember saying
that was
anything.
another issue with him is he was boring.
Because I remember you two talked, and I was like, oh, okay. There was nothing that I remember that I'm like, oh yeah, this is totally great. They totally clicked or vibed or whatever. It was just kind of like it's just dead. And then I remember, I mean, but the beauty of that night is like when we ate and like it was nothing. That food was nothing, by the way. It
It was
was
air. It was like chicken breast and it was like chicken and rice or something, and it was like nothing. And Brian had like the tiniest like meal. And I don't remember if did you like not order a lot? Because I feel like I didn't because I didn't have the money. And I feel like you didn't because you didn't want to look like a fat ass or something.
I didn't order a lot because I didn't want to look like a fat ass, and I was like, okay, like half a chicken and rice should be enough, you know?
Right. I was thinking that too. So I think I got the same thing because it was cheap.
Yeah.
And he got something kinda similar or something different, probably a little bit bougier because he had money. He
Hmm.
had some money, but he barely ate. Like, he literally ate, like, 3 bites and was like, "Oh, I'm so full," and then, like, literally was, like, putting it in a box, and me and Eric were looking at each other.
Oh my god.
We're like and then, yeah. And
Oh
then
my,
what happened after that? After he left?
my gosh. Well, we just like I just had to speak it into existence, but like I already know in the restaurant telepathically we're like, no. Like this is not enough food. Because like after like we said our goodbye to him and all that, we pretty much got like in my car and it was just like, I'm still hungry. Like I want more.
And I was like, yeah, me too. He's like, we're gonna go to Ralph's. I'm like, yes, we are. We call it Ralphicia's.
Yeah.
We're like, we're going to Ralphicia's, period.
We
And we
took
went and ate
Ralph's. Yeah.
because it was not it. Like, and I was so like, oh my God. Like he literally barely ate. I wonder if he hardly ever ate at all, but who knows?
Um, I mean, maybe because like,
He was really skinny.
yeah, he wasn't like unhealthily skinny, but he was just super skinny.
Yeah.
So like, it makes sense for him not to eat a lot, and for him, he's like, so full, and I'm like, oh my god, that was like an appetizer, low key. Like, I was like, oh my god, like
He only took like 3 bites. It was
I
one of those moments.
and I bodied that half chicken with rice. Oof, but
Me too. And it was like air.
but yeah, that dinner was just beautiful because of our moment where it's like, yeah, we're gonna get like let's go. Um, yeah, so that happened, and then at that point, like, Alex obviously met him and like knew of him, at least how he was, or like I could at least put like his face and like the way he is or of being when I talked to Alex about Brian. So it's like, which is cool because that's kind of what I wanted. I was like, okay, the ice
Mhm.
is broken, I never really tried to force friendships like that. I mean, I did with myself, but not like with others, like I would try, but not force it.
Mhm. And
Um,
I was like, he's fine. He's nice enough. Blah, blah, blah. Like, I didn't have any negative feelings really towards him at that moment. So it
mhm,
was all gooch on my end. And I think we added each other on Snapchat and stuff.
mhm.
And that's kind of when I don't know if things
Ooh,
started to duff out a little. But it was like the steps were lining up, the stars were aligning. And it
the
was weird because when did you figure out that he knew some of my friends and he knew some of your friends? That was crazy. So when did that occur?
I think that occurred when like oh gosh, I think it occurred because obviously like I talk a lot and I have too much to say. So I think I was talking and I think like because he had met you, I was like, "Oh my god, Alex," And like
Mhm.
I brought you up and then like I think that's when I mentioned, Kamara and because obviously she's your friend and
Mhm.
like
She's one of my best friends. Yeah.
and she's going to that school too and like I said that name and he's like Kamara and like yeah like Kamara and he's like like and I was like yeah like do you know her and he's like yeah she's in my class or blah 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 or something and I was like what I was like okay like cool like that's interesting I was like dang like wow like I was like small world I was like okay Kamara knows Brian and Kamara knows Alex, and now Alex knows Brian. I was like, whoa, like what is happening here? Whoa. And then, oh gosh, I just forget because there's obviously like it didn't just stop there. It also like leaked over to another friendship of mine. And
Mhm.
and I forget how that one came to be. I think it was because I had like talked to her a few times. The girl's name was Jasmine, and she was also in that class or program or something that he was in, and they were friends. And
Really? She went to my school?
she did.
Oh
She
my
graduated.
gosh, my school was popping. Dang. I didn't
Yeah,
realize that.
yeah, she graduated from there.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and that's how I was like, oh wow. And then I think she came across because like I guess Brian had like talked about me, you know, and
Mhm.
then as my friend Colin would talk to like her about me, he was just like, or I think that's how it came to be, and like that's how that connection was made. Or it's like, oh, like Jasmine Eric, like Colin Jasmine, and like that other triangle started, like the one that you, Kamara, and him,
Yeah,
and
it was really weird. So it's like he was kind of like infiltrating Eric's life, and it's like he knows this group because I was Eric's best friend, basically, at least get gay friend, etc. Like, and he was knowing my circle a little bit, and then he knew his other like best friend from a long time, that circle, and it was just like that's weird. It was kind of weird.
It was, and I was like, "Whoa!" And this was weird because, like, obviously, like, it was just the way it happened. I was like, "Oh, like this is so strange." Like, "Oh my gosh!" And then I started talking to Colin about Brian, and he was just like, "Oh, like Brian," and then like he didn't like really know first, but then he started talking to him about Jasmine, and it was just like, my God, it was just like the end of the Magic School Bus. Like, is this the Magic School Bus on the phone? Oh, like, is this the Magic School Bus? Like, it just kept spreading, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, it was a lot, and yeah, and then those circles started like just weirdly conjoining, and then Brian was like, ah, so like them and them and them, and I'm assuming that's what he thought. He's like, ah, so these people too, and I know these people. He's like, excellent. Like, let's weave that web.
Mhm.
Let's be a spider.
Mhm. 'Cause then he's also like, "I wanna help you with music, Eric. I wanna do this." Like, he was really like he was trying with that introvert Riz very, very, very hard.
Who he
Very
was.
hard.
Then he's like, you like Lana Del Rey? He's like, I love Lana Del Rey, and I was like, really? I was like, oh my gosh. And, obviously I was like, don't play with me. And the reason I kind of caught him in that lie is because, like, when I would talk to him about Lana, I wasn't even trying to catch him in a lie. I was just genuinely excited. I was like, oh, Lana. And I tried to talk to him about a lot of her songs, and he'd be like, I don't really know that one. Like, what? And I'm just like, do you love Lana? I'm like, because I was like, baby, like, it's not giving love, you know? It's giving, like, I heard 4 of her songs and she's cool, like, you know?
Yeah,
And I was like,
it's exaggerated.
And that's when at first I was like, okay, that's weird. I was like, you don't need to say you, like, love something I love or like, whatever. I was like, that's strange. I was like, okay, cool. And that was for me, like, I think maybe one of the first was like, ding,
Mhm.
hmm, okay. Um, and then, yeah, oof. I think shortly after that, we talked about more things, and it was just he got a little weird about some things because we just talked about like having siblings or how we grew up and all that. And I was like, oh, I was the youngest of 3. I was like, I got away with murder because I'm the baby and like I was spoiled. And he's just like, what? You murdered someone? And like I was like, excuse me? And then he's like, you murdered someone? And I was like, no, Brian. Like that I got away with murder. Like like haven't you heard that saying before? And he's like, oh, ha, ha, ha. He's like, oh, I said you like actually murdered someone. And I was like, if I did, why would I tell you? Like, I don't do it like that. Why would I confess? Why would I tell anybody I murdered somebody if I did? First of you know? And like, second of all, I did. So, for the record. But, and that was just really dumb because I was like, oh my gosh, that actually did like kind of irritate me a little bit because I was like, how do you read that? Or what? Are you that dumb? Like, why would you think that?
Mhm.
What happened there? I was like, ooh, funky. I was like, but okay, whatever. Like, let's move on from it. Because it wasn't like fight inducing or anything. It was just like, ooh, that was weird. Like, that was dumb.
Mhm.
But yeah, obviously, time kept going and we still talked and like we still hung out and did things. And I think our next, um, oh gosh. Okay, see, help me here now. Help me because I'm like I said, I dump memories because it's too many. Did we have the dinner first or the movie thing first? The premiere?
I think they were the same night.
The same night. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
That night was wild.
That night was crazy. Oh my God.
Mhm.
That whole shebang was there. Kamara, Jasmine, Brian, us. It was.
Which I never do anything, you guys, and you know I don't. So it was a huge deal that I went out and I put the picture in the thumbnail and I looked like trash, like absolute trash. I don't know what I was doing. It was bad. I looked like somebody that's trying to be a comedian.
Oh my God.
That's what I look like. I look like somebody who's trying to be like a fat comedian.
Well, you missed your fucking Rebel Wilson chance. That could have been like, you missed out. Like, babes, you should have capitalized.
That's what I look like. I look like I'm ready to go try to do stand up.
Oh my God.
It
But
was bad. It was so bad. And anyways, it was horrible. I just can't. So I was the Duff. You can tell.
oh
I
my
was
God.
mid fat too. I was mid fat at that time as well. so it's relevant.
It was awful. Oh my god. Because even looking at myself, I was like, ew, like you liked me? I'm like, ew, how? I was like, oh my god, I look like a clown. What? Um,
Pennywise.
I looked like Pennywise, like, oh my god, because I would dye my hair brown, like a light brown, but I wouldn't take care of it, so it'd fade to like a red, like a copper, a weird color, a weird red. So I looked like a clown. I literally looked like Ronald McDonald or like Pennywise. And I was like, how are you're into this? Like, oh, okay, like, all right. But
I don't know what our faces were in that picture either, but it's horrifying. It's a horrifying picture and it's cemented into history forever. But that was the night and it was the movie festival thing. And yeah.
it was, and I remember it being like the movie festival itself wasn't like scarring. I just thought it was weird that
Mhm.
spiderweb, everybody was there, all the little flies, and I was like, ooh, we're all here. Oof. Um, that was strange, but whatever. And then yeah, I just remember doing that. And then we it was a decent time for the most part because the movies are cool. It was interesting to see people
Mhm.
do their thing, and it's like, okay, like, awesome. Um and then obviously we posed and took our horrible picture, like, ugh.
And he really wanted pictures. Like I feel like it was him. Like he wanted pictures.
I feel like it was because I'm not really one though. Because I'm not like, we got to take a selfie. Like, I don't think you and I have many pictures because I don't do that. I'm not like that,
I
unfortunately.
think it was like he was winning an award or he was nominated or something. It was something like that. And
Hmm.
so it was like a really big deal for him.
Yeah.
And so he wanted like pictures with everybody,
Yeah. No,
including my deaf ass.
he made his rounds getting his pictures with everybody. And
Mhm.
okay, like, good for you. And like, he
It was like
wasn't,
professional camera picture.
yeah. And I remember that night, he wasn't so much like with us like that because he was jumping from crowd to crowd, which I didn't.
Mhm.
Okay, no, like, this is a night for you. Like, you're doing your thing. Like, and I'm here for you, like, to support you as a friend. Like, awesome. Um, and yeah, but I did remember he still did want to hang out though. That's when the dinner happened. He's like, oh, like after the whole thing, the whole event, he's like, oh, like, do you guys want to go get dinner? And I was like, oh my God, look at him inviting us, me and you to dinner? I was like, wow. Um, and I was like, we'd love to get dinner.
And we were supposed to go to a party too. There was like a party at his house. It was like an hour away. It was
Oh
far
my,
away.
oh my goodness gracious.
Because I think he invited us to that, right? Or was that a planned thing? I can't remember.
So the party was separate because it was his birthday. It was a different thing. It was his birthday. So it's a little
Oh,
spicy.
that's another day?
The party was separate, yeah.
Oh my gosh, it all blended into my brain. You're right. Okay. Okay.
So let's finish this one. So after the event, because remember the event took place like kind of at night, and then he's like, let's get dinner. Would you like to get dinner? And I was like, yeah, totally. So we go get dinner and we're talking, and like that's kind of when I started picking up a little more too that he was really kissing my butt on a lot of things. And I was like, dude, like, we're friends. Like, you don't have to, like, I understand. I know the difference between encouraging and like gassing up, you know?
Mhm. Do you remember anything that he said or you don't?
I wish I do. It's so
Because
much.
it because I feel like you were just being like your positive Becky self and you were kind of just talking about like, yeah, I'm going to school for this or I'm doing this or, kind of stuff like that or like your fitness goals. And he's just like, that's amazing. It was probably something like that.
I think the
Prob-
remember is like when I was like, yeah, I'm in, like, I'm in school, I work, and I still try to go to the gym because I believe in being healthy and vanity and fit, whatever, blah, blah. And then I was like, and I still try really hard to make time for a social life. Like, I try really hard to do it all. And I was just like, and like, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, that is really like incredible. He's like, that's really, wow, like, that's amazing. He's like, I think he said something like, you're like one of the few people that can do that, or not everybody can do that. He's like, your health, social life, work, school. And I was like, down. I was like, I work like at the airport. I'm not like running a company or like, like a lawyer or something. I was like, chill. like, you know, but, and I was like, and also I look busted because like I would sleep like 4 hours a night because like I the social life, right? So like
He had the Gen Z look, you guys. He was like, he looked like 10 years older than he was.
I really did, and that's because like I would stay out too late. Go on
He
too
was
many.
in his 1989 era. No, I'm just kidding. No, it was wild. Like he would triple book. He'd do like he'd accidentally book 3 different things at the same time. I mean, like literally, it was wild. And I remember I was sitting there and I was listening to this, and I was just like, because it was kind of the Eric show, which is okay, I guess. Not really. I feel like back then it was really up my own butt too. So I was just like, it's all about
Like,
Eric, like, you
anyways,
know.
back to Alex.
Yeah, I was like, anyways, my problems though. Or anyways, my life though. Anyways, me though, you know. We love a younger Alex, you know, super evolved. Um, and so I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so much. You know, it's kind of like because he was laying it on kind of thick.
Yeah,
And so I think the moment that I remember that was kind of significant was like we were sitting, and I don't remember if I brought it up or he brought it up or something, but I brought up that I was religious, or he brought it up or something, or he asked or something.
it
And
was
I was
one of
like, yeah,
not me.
huh?
One of you two for sure, not
Oh,
me.
yeah, definitely. And I was like, okay, like, I said, yeah, I was like, I'm religious, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh my gosh, you know, like, that's so crazy or so interesting that you're religious and gay or whatever. You know, he kind of said something similar to that. And I was just like, yeah, I guess, whatever, da da da, you know, because to me, it's like, I'd only heard that like at least 10 million times at that point, you know?
Mhm.
And so I was just like, whatever. And then literally he turns and asks you, I'll let you speak now. But then he asks you, he's like, do you believe in God?
Yeah, he did ask me. He turned around and he's like, "Do you believe?" And I was like, "No, I don't." I was like, "I'm an atheist." I was like, "I never really believed." I was like, "I just was kind of forced to by my mama." But I was like, "But I never really believed." I was like, "So, no, I don't." And then he was like, "Wow, that's very interesting." And he said it with such like, "Wow," you know?
Yeah, like, he was really surprised, and, like, he was it was such a weird, like, 1-2 thing where he said, like, the exact same, like, robotic tone to me, kind of, and then he said it directly to you right after, and I just lost it. I had a moment.
You
I
really
ha
did.
I
And
did.
it's one of my favorites.
But anyways, he's like, "Really?" He's like, "That's so interesting." And I was like, "No, it's not." And I literally like shouted at the table. Like I couldn't I don't know what happened. Like I couldn't hold back.
Speak now, apparently. Shoot. That's what happened.
I was like, it's not. I was like, almost every gay guy is an atheist. Like, that's not interesting at all. Like, what are you talking? Like, did I ask him like what he was talking about, or I think I just said that.
Well, you definitely said, "No, it's not." And then you didn't go on a full-on rant, but you did say something afterwards. And I
I
you sh
think I just said like almost every gay guy is an atheist. I
and I
said something like that.
laughed because your fucking outburst was hilarious. So I was just like, "Oh my god, oh my god." I was like, "This is so funny." I was like, "Wow." And, like, I mean, I didn't stop it, or I wasn't going to because, like I said, I kinda noticed that night where he started his ass kissing really hard or, like, the gassing up. Hey, dude, like, okay. Um, whatever. And, yeah, you definitely had your moment. And that's kind of when you started seeing it more, or like,
After that dinner, I was like, Eric, he is really into you. Like, you are Delulu. He's into you. Like, stop playing. And you're like, and I don't know if at that point you were kind of like, okay, he might be. Because it was a lot. It was very thick.
I think that's when I knew deep down inside, but I was still like, no, no, he's not. Like, mm-mm. I was like, no. I was like, he's just really like, maybe he wants a best friend or something. I don't think I was like willing to accept it yet. That like romantic. And I was like, no. Mm-mm. I was like, no. It's like it's weird, but no. um, but shit.
And I was just like, I did not like him. After that dinner, I was like, I don't like him. Like, I feel like he's a liar. He's not even a good liar. I was like, he's just weird. Like, I was like, he's fake. I feel like I had a massive shit talking session after that because I'm pretty sure I did.
I think you did, and, like, that was, like, that's pretty much when you were like, "Okay, I'm kinda, like, done with him, like, I'm not really"
Mhm.
like, it's a wrap on your end, basically. And I was just like, "No!" Like, the
I
squad.
know, I was like, "I'm sorry." I was like, "But I can't do it anymore."
Yeah, so I was just like, "Okay." I was like, "Whatever." And then time passed, and, like, we were getting closer, him and I. Again, I thought from a friendship perspective, because that's when he started opening up more and telling me about his ex-boyfriend, you know, the relationship he was previously in. And he started that because he was just telling me, like, yeah, I was in a relationship for X amount of years. I think they dated for a while. Um, he was like, I was
Mhm.
in a relationship for X amount of years. And then he even brought up everything. He's like, yeah, like, he would always mention too, like when we talk about like sexual things, because again, we were friends and we talk about like sex, and like I would openly talk to him about my hookups that I had
Ooh,
because we're
that's
friends.
scarring.
And and he would like try that too. I don't know if he was actually hooking up with guys, but he would tell me about like some stuff, and he'd be like, "Yeah, I'm a bottom." And I was like, "Okay." Like I didn't think anything of it at first, but then when he started talking about his ex, he's like, "Yeah, like in the relationship, like, I was like, "Oh, like you're a bottom." And then he's like, "Well, I was versatile in the relationship." And I was like, "So you're not a bottom." Like, you're verse, right? And he's just like, well, and I was like, "Okay." Like and he was just talking to me about like how they always had like fights or rough patches and things were getting like shaky. And I guess the tipping point or the breaking point for them was like one time when they were like on the freeway, and they got into like a shouting match in the car or something. They were just really arguing crazy. And then he said his
What?
was driving super fast, like going super fast. And then Brian was like, "Stop the car!" and like getting all scared. But the boyfriend wasn't. And I forget if he said that he was like crying or really shooken up, but like he said like his boyfriend was just going super fast, and like that obviously really rattled Brian, and he was not okay. And I was like, okay. I was like, and after that, like that was it? Like you broke up or like what happened? And he was just, after that, he's like, yeah, I had to because I felt like my life was in danger. I just felt like it was too much. Like I told him to stop, and like he just kept going faster. And I wish I'd asked how fast he was going, but like I
I
didn't.
have a feeling it wasn't that fast, but that's just my opinion.
I don't think so either. But he was just like, yeah, like after that, like we ended it and
It's
blah.
his toxic ex, yeah. That's
Yeah.
what he called him.
And they had a lot of fights, and he made it seem like it was mostly the ex-boyfriend, like that started them or was the one who like the reason they fought. And the only reason he brought this up to me or made it a thing is because I don't know if you remember this, but he had an extra ticket to a concert at the Hollywood Bowl, and he
For
was
Lana?
not for Lana. It was for a group called Above and Beyond.
Oh, yeah, some irrelevant thing that you didn't like. Oh,
I
yeah.
You remember now?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had never heard of them, and I was just like, "Oh," but again, I was always like, "I'm always down for something new. Hell yeah." And I was just like, "Oh, I've never heard of them, honestly. Like, if you wanna try to sell it or, like, invite, like, a actual friend, like, lover of the group, you know?" I was like, "'Cause I'm not." I was like, "I've never heard of them till now, literally." I was like, and I feel like it'd be a waste because Brian wasn't charging me for the ticket. He
Oh,
Because he's like, either way, he's like, "Oh, it's gonna go to waste." He's like, "It's, like, kinda last minute and blah, 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 blah." And I was like, "Are you sure, Brian?" I was like, "I can give you some money or just give you the ticket. Like, I don't think it's expensive. It's a random group like that. I don't huge, you know? I could be.
right.
I don't think it's huge." So I was like, "I don't think it's that much, dude. Like, I'll pay you." And he's like, "No, no, no, it's okay." He's like, "Because this is not like your fault or blah blah blah. Like, we had planned this a long time ago, but then we broke up and blah blah blah. So like, we'll just go together." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Like, downsies. And we went to the concert. I remember we like met at a park not far from where I lived because I think they shuttled from there to like the concert. And I was like, "Oh, you'd have to come all the way down here." I'm like, "I'm sure it was easier for you just to go to someplace over by you and shuttle there." Like, I don't know. That was weird to me, but whatever. Um, so we got shuttled to the Hollywood Bowl. We saw the concert, and I was like, there's like one song I liked. Other than that, I was like, never again with this group. I was like, but that's okay. It's not my cup of tea. I was like, but never again. And he had the time of his life, obviously, because he really liked that group, you know? And I was just
Mhm.
for him, like he's having fun. I'm not, but whatever. Um, and yeah, we just had a good time, or he had a good time, and it was a good night. And I was like, oh, this was fun. And like, obviously, like we just kept progressing as friends, or so I thought. And nothing really eventful happened. It was just a concert, and then we had a good time. And he's like, "Thanks for joining me." And I was like, "Yeah, totally." And like, I took a picture of him in front of the Hollywood Bowl, and I was like, this was nice. Like, thanks for having me. Like, I appreciate it." And obviously, the free ticket. I was like, "Thank you so much. Like, this was a cool experience that really didn't mean anything, but thank you." um, and then yeah, that's when we go a little more forward, and that's when his birthday was.
Okay.
Yeah, that's when he had the party, like, for his birthday, and at
And
this
I was so, like, to me, at this point, like, after that one dinner, I was like, "Brian is not it." Like, I knew that he was really trying hard, though. Like, he was very much, like, trying to climb and, like, trying to have clout and trying to do things, but he just wasn't cool. He wasn't it. I don't know how to describe it. Like, he was very boring and, like, a liar and, like, a bad liar. Like, you could tell he was lying right in front of your face. And so at that point, I was just like, "Oh my gosh." I don't remember. How the hell did you rope me into agreeing to go to that party? Because you must have, like, blackmailed me or something.
the party, you didn't go to the party.
But why was I even considering going?
Oh, that.
What
Ooh,
did you do? Hold me hostage?
oh, I don't know. I don't know if I guilt tripped you and it maybe worked it like, "Oh my god, Alex, like, it's his birthday," or something.
Oh, yeah,
I
because I was still trying to be nice, that's why. So I probably wasn't, like, full-blown hate train. I keep forgetting I wasn't who I am now back then.
You weren't toxic gossip train, so back then. So
I was just feeling all these things and not speaking now.
conceal, don't feel.
Yes, and I was like, "Okay." And he
I
was just like, "Come on, it's his birthday, blah, blah, like, he likes you, da, da, da." Because Brian was still, like he would talk to me on Snapchat, or he would, like, occasionally do stuff or really try to act like he was my friend, and I was just more so, like, shutting it down, so it looked bad on my end, of course, always.
always. Um But I think that's how it happened, where obviously he invited me to his birthday and he's like, "I'd really like you to be there." And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be there." And he obviously invited, like, I think everybody that he probably knew. Like, I'm sure he invited Kamara, he invited, the Jasmine girl, and I don't remember if he invited my friend Colin, but I definitely did because I was under the assumption that I was going. And so I was like, yeah, like, we're just gonna go and it's gonna be a great, great time. And then, like, I think that's again how I roped you into it, where I was like, it's his birthday, Alex. Like, you can't be mean to him on his birthday, you know?
Oh my god, I hate you.
I'm just saying. But I was like, you can't be mean to him on his birthday, and you're like, fine. But then, like, because we hung out that day too, obviously, you and I. And then I think as it kept getting closer to the time, like, I don't know what happened in me, but something died. And I, oh god, I was like, I'm not in the mood to go anymore. Like, I was like, I'm just kind of over it now. I was like, ugh. Like, I just started thinking about it, and I was like, like, I don't know if something flipped and died, or if it was just because, like, I don't know, burnout from everything I've been doing. But
It
I
might have been that. I think you were tired. That makes sense.
maybe, and then I think, like, we just thought about it, and I was like, oh man, because I think he lived like an hour away or something.
Mhm.
Like,
It
oh,
was far.
yeah, like an hour away. We have to, like, obviously party and then drive back home, like, at what, 3 a.m. Whoever knows when it's over. So it's like, so I was just like, oh god. And then obviously I knew you didn't want to go. I was putting you into it, and then I was like, do you like still want to go to the party?
And I was like
And you're like, no. You're like,
It's like, "No." I'm like, "He's not worth it." I think that's when I, like, came out with it. That's when I spoke now. It's like,
You did.
he's not it. He's not worth it. It's too far. He's not cool. I was like, I can't do this. Like, or, like, because I felt like Eric gave me an out because I feel like, I don't know, when you're younger, like when we were young, and that song was relevant back then. But when we were young, it's like you kind of have that in friendships where you kind of pressure each other to do stuff a lot. So
Mhm.
it's like there were a lot of things that I pressured Eric to do. And then this is like one of the things he pressured me to do.
Honestly.
And we kept it pretty even, actually, because I tried really hard because I had had some bad experiences prior. So, like, when I became friends with Eric, I was like, I'm going to be like fair and like we're going to both do what we want to do, kind of thing. And so that was me definitely being like, okay, I'll go. But when Eric gave me that out, I was like, oh my God, I don't want to go.
Yeah, and
I felt like such relief, like low key. I really did. Because I was like, I don't know. Because I was trying to drink like a bunch of tea and caffeine. And like, I was like, I'm going to try to like be alive for this party. But
yeah, and I was just like tired, and I mean, I could force it anyway. That was my problem. But like, I was just like whatever. Like, if he says yes, like I'm just gonna put up with it, deal with it. Just go, Eric. You're the one who like said yes, blah blah. Um, but when you said no, I was like, oh, okay, yeah. I was like, let's not go. I was like,
I
let's
don't even know what we did after that. But
could be wrong, but I feel like we just watched Degrassi or something.
yeah,
We just watched Degrassi all night or something. Like,
something like that. Yeah. We just like chilled. Maybe I got a bottle of wine or something.
yeah, I think that's what that night was. And like, even though we went
Hmm.
to bed late, like
Yeah. Yeah,
that.
I think it was something like that. It was like lame night, but I was so relieved not to go. And was that the time where you were like done with him? Or did you still try after that? Because I feel like you were kind of done.
Mm, I think maybe I was lying to myself and I was saying I wasn't done, but me doing that, like, I was done because like that obviously like really hurt his feelings that I didn't go because he like was messaging me, and I don't know if you remember me telling you or if I was telling you, but he was kind of messaging me like, "Oh, where are you guys?" or like blah blah, and I was just like, "Oh," like
Did you not respond or you did?
I think I responded once and then I just did not respond. And then my other friend that I said I was going to, who did end up going, was texting me too and calling me. And I was like, what do I do? And then I just texted them both once and like responded. And then I think I pulled it out of my ass the next morning or something. And I don't remember what I said. Like the history is there, the text, because I don't delete messages because I'm crazy. Like, um, I don't know if I said bullshit like, "Oh, I just felt really ill," or "I was just exhausted." I don't know if I told the truth or something. I don't know what happened, but like something happened that I just got out of it or whatever. And my friend wasn't mad at me because I spun a lie to him to make it look good, but it was really bad. But with Brian, I think he was kind of hurt because like he obviously really wanted me to be there. And me saying yes, and then literally standing him up the last minute, at his birthday. The thing I try to guilt trip you about and be like, Alex, birthday, you can't do that. And then I bail on him on his birthday because I'm full of shit. Uh,
Oh gosh, we love our young era. Don't you miss like the 20s? I mean, you know?
I do. I miss the do as I say, not as I do. Because that was definitely me. I'm like, you're a for that. And then I did it. But um, yeah.
And me just being like, "Oh, I'm so relieved." Like that was gonna be a nightmare.
Oh, and I think after that, like I said, it kind of damaged our relationship, me and his, like,
Yeah.
quite a bit, not even a little bit, quite a bit, I think, because he was like still talking to me, but like not as intensely, you know?
Mhm.
Like, and I could tell the shift because I was like, oh, he's mad about that. Like, which rightfully so, I guess, it's
Right.
wrong on
That
my,
makes sense.
yeah. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I have to live with this. And like, it wasn't like a huge deal where it's like, oh gosh, like my life is over. But I was like, oh, this kind of sucks. Like, maybe that was a little mean, or like, it just sucks because like there was some fun there. You know, it wasn't all bad. It wasn't like the majority bad for me, anyways. Like so, but anyways, yeah, we just kept talking here and there, and like I don't know if he kept reaching out to you or trying to talk to you. Like after.
So basically, what happened is I think you were distancing yourself, or you were starting to do like a slow pull out away, probably because you had found out that no, you didn't completely find out yet. When did you find out?
Oh gosh, I think I found out it wasn't that long after that. A
Mhm.
few months later because that's when, or not even a few months later, it might have been a month later because it happened in the early summer when the friend that I said I was gonna go to the party with, he ended up going. I didn't go. He had a graduation in Santa Barbara because he graduated, and he invited me, obviously, and he invited that girl Jasmine that Brian knows, and I guess Brian and her were pretty close friends, and I found out that he legitimately liked me, or at least there was no more denying it, you know?
Because basically he got her to ask Eric if he liked him. I'm telling you, the web was pretty. The introvert Riz, I have to admire it, honestly, but it was diabolical.
It was a lot of work, but he did it, and yeah, like I don't know. Like again, kudos to him. You're right. Let's give him his flowers because yeah, I was out in Santa Barbara. He was not even anywhere near there. Okay, I'm out in Santa Barbara, wasted at a graduation party, and this bitch is like, Eric, do you like Brian? And I was like, yeah, he's cool. Like, yeah, you know, he's a good time. And then, no, Eric, do you like Brian? And I was like, oh no, like no. um, and then she's like, oh, okay. And then she was like, he really likes you. And I was like, does
Blatant.
I was like, does he? Does he know? And then she's like, yeah, he really likes you. And I was like, oh, I thought we were just like being friends and like talking about friends and blah blah. And she's like, I'm not sure like where you guys met. I think he said it was some because she was drunk. Okay, like I'm not sure where you guys met. I think she like he said it was some app or something, and she's like, and that's not any of my business, but he just really likes you, and like if you don't like him, just you need to tell him, or I'm gonna tell him, or something like that. Because like I guess I don't know if they were close or she just is that kind of girl. I don't know.
Mhm.
But I was like, oh, you can tell him.
Oh my gosh, talk to Garrick over here.
I know, right? She gave me the option too. She gave me the out, Alex. Okay,
That's true. We all took an out at that time.
we in our own ways. Okay. Mm.
Mhm.
Um. So yeah, she's like, all right, I'm gonna tell him. And I was like, you can tell him. And like part of me was like, this bitch is drunk. She's not gonna tell him. And obviously did because that's pretty much like when Brian like dropped me. Like
Okay, so no, he probably okay, so we have the confirmed Duff moment. It was probably a step before that. And I had already been like ringing the alarms, I was like, I got a hairbrush here. I was like, Eric, he likes you. I was like, you're delusional. He likes you. He wants to sleep with you. He's like so in love with you, blah, blah. Like I would say that all the time. Like I would kind of razz Eric's berries about it constantly. And I literally like Brian reached out to me on Snapchat. Like there were times where he would reach out to me and literally be like, have you talked to Eric? Blah, 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 blah. Like literally like on that level. And then the one time, the final time where it was totally verified is I literally said to him, I said, you only talk to me or you only reach out to me when you're trying to get in touch with Eric. And he was like, yeah, I do. And he admitted it. And I was like,
blew my mind when you told me. I was like, he did not openly admit that to you. I was like, stop. Like no, no.
mhm. Yeah. And it wasn't until I watched the movie, The Duff, that I realized I was duffed. It was like post traumatic duff realization disorder, but it was horrible. And I was literally like, I was so shocked that I was duffed by him because I feel like if I was gonna be duffed, I needed to be duffed by somebody that was, like, cool, and he wasn't. Like, I don't know if that makes sense to anybody. I don't know if anybody has been a duff in my audience, but if you have actually been duffed, you would at least want them to be, like, the most good-looking, charming, cool guy or whatever. I mean, it's kind of an introvert thing to do, so introverted Riz duffing, but it's like it's an introvert on introvert crime usually, for sure. But it was like he was so not it to be duffed by him. And it really humbled me. And I was like, oh my God, Eric, I was duffed by Brian. You duffed me. And then
I
I yelled at him like the movie.
Gosh, I know. And I'd be like those bitches too, and be like, "What are you talking about?" Like, no, I didn't. Like,
Because I've been suffering in duffdom for this whole year. And I literally was like, I was stuffed by him. And it was like just this horrible realization.
I think it was
And
realization after watching the movie. I think that's when it really was just like trickling down all the way.
yeah. And I was like, oh my fucking God, Eric. I was stuffed by him. And Eric was like, no, no, like, don't say that. That's not real. And I was like, Eric. And it's like, it was verifiable. He admitted it. So
It is.
I was the duff.
It is, and to me, it's just horrible because I'm like, oh my god, like, because I didn't think about it, because I don't think, but like, oh my god, I was like, wow, because we started talking about it, obviously, and it's like, oh, he took all the steps, he like really hung out with me, and like, I thought he wanted a friendship with you too, but he just kind of used that as like leverage, I guess, or like as a tool where he was just like, oh, because again, like, I knew from the first meeting there was really not much between you two,
Mhm.
whatever, they're cool with each other, that's all that matters to me, you know, at least they don't hate.
Mhm.
But I guess maybe Brian took that as a, oh, okay, like that's cool. Like that's like a pass for me or whatever, you know? Uh,
Mhm.
he didn't use my other friend like that, but that's because I didn't really hang out with him. And he was smart too because he knew you and I were like up each other's butts, you know?
We were all up in there. Not literally, spreading rumors.
Calm down, Lindsay. Like that's
Yeah.
not like that. They're sisters in that way.
Yeah.
But like he was smart though to like at least still know and acknowledge like, oh yeah, like they're always hanging out or they
Yeah. And he was trying to get me to like him. It didn't work, clearly, from my upset moment. Um, but I was like, he really was trying. And so, but obviously, like you talk to somebody and you're just using them to get to someone else, it's like he's going to be very flat. He's not going to have genuine interest. He doesn't care about, actually talking to me. And it was just always about you. And so it's like I was too probably, at least semi hypohazy at the time, or like just young or awkward or introverted or something. I didn't realize what was happening. I probably
yeah,
was too introverted to realize it. That's probably what it was. I didn't have enough like social experience to realize what was happening. And when I watched the movie with Eric, I was like, that happened to me. I was the Duff. And it was just like this scarring realization. And so I wanted to relive it on here with you guys because it's real. This does happen to fat asses everywhere. It does. But I think me and Eric, we were talking about duffdom, and we think it is an introvert phenomenon. So you kind of have to be introverted and fat for it to happen to you. And it hit me.
I mean, I think so because again, that was a hardcore case, and that example with you. Because again, little side note, it did happen to the other friend. You know, at like when Brian,
Also kind of chunk and introverted, but that was later on after he'd gained weight.
yeah. I mean, it didn't happen that long ago. It was like 3 years ago or 2 years
Mhm.
ago, but it wasn't as hardcore as it was with you. Because like, I mean, he still definitely got dubbed because the other guy clearly did not care about him or whatever, and like whatever. But with you, it's like dang, because Brian did put in the effort. He did pretend to some degree, as much as his introverted ass could, you know?
Mhm.
So it's just like, wow, that's crazy and impressive how he, like,
Mhm.
that.
And to be fair, like, I feel like I kind of in retrospect, I admired what he did, but it was also like it's kinda messed up too, but also it was dead on arrival because he was not your type, and the thing is that he was never going to be. But what I found the funniest thing is that after it didn't work out with Eric, he got back with his toxic ex.
He did, and they're still together till this day. So let's hope it's not toxic anymore, or maybe it's okay. I don't know, but they definitely got back
Mm.
together. Together.
S And for any of you guys who think that me and Eric are just evil, mean, horrible people, just know that years later, me and Eric are single, and he's still with his boyfriend. So, I guess Brian was the nice one after all.
He was the good one, and we're the problems.
We're the toxic gossip train over here. So, that's just some piece for some of you guys who are probably listening to this and being like, "You guys are so nasty. Oh my gosh, da, da, da." And it's like, we're both single, so took the L. 30 and single.
That's crazy. Oh well, the love of my life, LOML, right? Missed out. So
Missed out on Brian. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I do think he would have treated you well, but I don't know. I mean, if you have to like lie and do all this stuff just to get with somebody, it's like maybe it just isn't it? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
and that's what's sad too. Like I'm not justifying what he did at all to you, duffing you. But it is kind of sad that he did that. Like, dude, I'm sure if I had showed like the slightest interest or if I was into him, like he wouldn't have done all that. Like we would have gotten together, I'm pretty sure, quickly, you know? Um and he wouldn't have had to like do this whole like lying of I love Lana and all that. Like I'm sure he would have been more authentic. Like, cause he really
Mhm.
played it up and did a lot for something that wasn't gonna be. So which sucks because again, it was just a whole big show for nothing, I guess, because like you got duffed again by him and for what? Like it didn't even work and like I mean, even if it like did work, I feel like it'd be fucked up on my part because it's like he openly said like, "Yeah, I'm just talking to you to talk to him or like find out about him. Like I don't really give a fuck about you." And
Basically, yeah.
when he told me that, I was like, "Ooh, that's kind of messed up." Like not you openly admitting that you don't give a fuck about my best friend or like, "Yeah, I'm just using you straight up." I'm like, "That's not a it's
I
not a
think he thought it was funny, but it really wasn't. Like I mean, it was, but not like in the way that he thought it was, if that makes sense. Like I laughed about it, but I didn't really have the impact of the Duffdom until retrospect. And I was like, wow, I literally was the Duff. And that's what happens when you have extroverted friends, you guys. It
Oh,
happens.
stop. We're not the problem, okay?
And if you're fat, you have to be fat too, but it's a thing. It happens. It happened to me. I was the Duff. I still probably am the Duff, to be honest, but I am leaving my Duff era. I'm really almost out. And so I'm just like, I wanted to remember everything that I've been through as a Duff. And I just want to say that it's not your fault if you're Duffed.
It's never your fault, you guys, okay? It's the duffer. Not me, even though it's my name. It's not me. The guy or girl who does it, okay? Like, not the friend. Let's not take our duff reactions out on the friends. Take it out on the dude.
Why not both? No, I'm just kidding. But no, I hope you guys had fun. It was a mess of a situation. 2016 was a mess of a year.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, I think I even had another Duff episode low key in the same year, like a couple months later. So, which that one, it's a little bit less cut, like clear cut, and it was very short. That's why we didn't include it in this story time. But literally, it happened again. So it's Eric. It's him.
Honestly, I am the problem. I put you in these situations, I guess, to trap you in that situation.
So let me know, you guys, if you guys have ever been duffed. It's a deep wound. I am still like, like from him, by him.
Gosh,
Gosh. But it was a thing. And it was like, you know, when you're young and it's like it takes you a long time. Like that pre-25 brain is just not with it. And it takes you a long time to put the pieces together. Like it took us like a couple months to figure it out, which I feel like these days we'd be like, period. You know, it'd be like super quick. But back then when you're young, it's like, what's happening? What is this? Like we were like kind of investigating it because it was weird to us. The whole thing was weird.
it was. I mean, it was kind of intriguing too, I guess, because we had never seen it, obviously, because we
Mhm.
gone through it, you know. So it's just like that's another thing too.
Yeah.
But like this is kind of interesting, actually, even though it sucks because like again, like I don't know, that's just not the way either. Shout out to the fucking Duffers, like that's not the way because like he wasn't so terrible, but it still wasn't good. Because the second,
Mm-mm.
the second guy that kind of minorly duffed you, like would try to get on my good side or impress me. I don't know what it was by openly talking shit about you to me, and I'm
Mhm.
like,
It was
bro,
wild.
like that's you think I'm into that? You think that's sex?
Mhm.
You're talking shit about my best friend. I was like, I'm gonna go straight to him and let him know.
Mhm.
And I did. I was like, this is what this bitch said, like about you.
And then I fought with him in public really passive aggressively. And I was like, because you know, when you're around people who are fake, and then he was like, yeah, and then he tried to say that I was fake back. He's like, yeah, I don't like being around fake people. And I'm just like, well, it's good because I'm not actually fake, but there are other people here who are. You know, I was still me. You guys, it was still me.
Yeah, but no,
That was at the bar. That was at the bar, the gay bar. There was a lot of drama. And then there was that one kid that was like 18 or whatever, or 19, where Eric went on a date with him. And I don't remember what that was, but like you told him that I was your friend or something. And he was just like, how? Why?
oh my,
Huh?
well, I told
Huh? He
one of
was
my
the cat meme.
yeah, I told him you were one of my best friends because again, like we hung out with each other all the time, And when people would ask me like, "Why are you so busy?" Like da da da, and be like, "Because I'm hanging out with so so or so, and you were one of the so's." When they're like, "Oh well, let me so," and I did show so, which was you, and then that's when he was like, "You two are friends. How are you friends?" And I was like, "What are you talking about? Like what?" I was like, "What do you mean?" And that's when he like basically was that that picture. You're fat or he's fat.
Yeah.
And I was like, what does that matter? I was like, I don't understand. And like in his head, gunshots, like, pew! And I was like, no, like that doesn't make sense.
He was Gen Z, right? That was a Gen Z.
I was like, what, 22? And he was like 18 or 19?
Yes, I think he was.
Yeah. So that was not it either. I mean, that was just dead on arrival too, because I don't like younger.
Yeah. You don't like younger anyways. Lana.
I mean, that's facts though. Sorry. I can't.
But
That
that was crazy when you told me about that. I was like, oh my gosh. So it was definitely a thing. I told you the mid fat curse happens. And for whatever reason in my life, whenever I would like pop off or like be popular, I was bigger actually. And then I never got past the death when I would try to lose, and I'm almost past it. Now I'm starting to leave it on the other end. And it's like, this is going to be a whole new world, Eric. I don't know what to do. And I can't ask Eric for dating advice because he's too extroverted and he gives me terrible advice that I could never do.
I'm sorry.
I'm on my own, kid.
You are. I'm on the other side. I'm on the opposite spectrum.
I know. Because he's like, well, I just act super bubbly and just whatever. And I'm just like, I can't do that. Like, that's not going to happen. I was like, I have to be mysterious, I guess. And I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out with you guys in mind. But yeah, just so you know, if you've been duffed, it's happened to me. It's real. It's a thing. And I guess it wasn't Eric's fault. But by the way, David was ready to come after you because I told him you duffed me.
Excuse me, I didn't duff you. You telling people I duffed you? I didn't duff you, sweetie.
You did.
I may have been like the main reason, but I wasn't the duffer, okay? I was not the duffer. How dare you do me like that? Soil my name.
Anyways, you guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this long story time. But we'll be back. I'm sure Eric will be back for another video. And I enjoyed this. So we'll have to do more. But thank you guys so much for watching. And just know you're not alone if you've been duffed. It is real. It's very real. Even if I watched the movie and had post-traumatic duff disorder, it did occur.
Oh my god.
But you know, we had a burn book moment tonight, and I don't feel bad about it. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.
Good day.
Oh, 1 second.